Our top focus in what is being seen as a massive embarrassment for the government. Top jurist Fali Nariman has refused to participate in the Lokpal selection process. Senior Supreme Court advocate Fali Nariman has refused to join the Lokpal search committee. In a letter to the centre, Nariman has called the Lokpal selection process ludicrous and farcical. Nariman sent the union government an angry letter slamming the selection process. He said, and I quote him here, "In my humble view, this is no way in which an institution as vital and as important as the Lokpal to be constituted. The chairperson and members of the Lokpal as ultimately selected may well be projected as democratically chosen by a broad consensus from amongst two levels of selectors, both upper and lower. But it is precisely for that reason that I do fear that the most competent, the most independent and the most courageous will get overlooked." Headed by former SC Judge K.T. Thomas, the search panel comprises of 8 members. Earlier, if you remember, the BJP had objected to one of the Prime Minister's nominees for the panel, P.P. Rao, accusing him of being pro-UPA too. Jaskirat Singh Baba now joins you on the phone line. Jaskirat, while this is a huge embarrassment for the centre, just take us through what the real grievances of Fali Nariman really are.
Well, Mr. Nariman's grievances are pretty much well stated in this letter itself. He refused to comment on whether this is with regards to any specific selection or any specific name cropping up. But of course, many members, senior members of the judiciary, eminent jurists, have had a lot of murmurs going on in the corridors, legal corridors of the city, where they are raising questions about certain names cropping up. What Mr. Nariman over here, while declining to be a part of this election process, is suggesting is that the entire selection process itself is vitiated. Right now, Mr. Nariman has refused to officially comment on the letter's content because he feels that the letter was only addressed to the PMO, and he's also upset about the fact that the details of the letter have actually come out.
Also, Jaskirat, what does this mean for the future of the Lokpal panel?
Well, there can't possibly be any stumbling block. Of course, this is going to be a speedbreaker of sorts for the government, and it is definitely an embarrassment for the government as well. But whether or not this is enough for the government to take note and change this election process, or even put a break or pause on it before they deliberate any further, it's a matter of wait and watch. We have to see how the government responds to that.
Also, very strong words really coming out of that letter from Fali Nariman to the centre, where he calls it both farcical as well as he talks about how it is necessary for this process to be democratic. He also goes ahead, Jaskirat, and calls it ludicrous.
Well, that's correct. Now, of course, those are the keywords that are popping out of the letter, which expresses the anger that Fali Nariman has over the entire process, which he confirmed with us about the fact that...
Jaskirat, do stay with me. I apologize for interrupting, but I believe former IPS officer Kiran Bedi now joins you on the phone line. Ms. Bedi, thank you so much for speaking with Headlines today. Fali Nariman, if you have read or heard about it, has written a very terse letter to the centre, also going ahead and calling the entire process ludicrous and farcical. What's your first reaction to that?
I think we need to know a little more details. What are the things he found ridiculous? What are the processes he found ridiculous? Because this is a good search committee, Mr. Nariman, Mrs. Gopinath, you had others too, very good names. You had Mr. Dua. I think they were very good names. Mr. K.T. Thomas. I was thinking these are, with Mr. Nariman also there, these are good names. So what is it that has irked him? It's important to know. But I'm very happy that the whole system is being challenged so that this country truly gets an independent Lokpal. But the point is, it's important to know what is it? What is it in the processes that he found irksome? Because, or was it because they were limiting themselves to only those people who had applied for, or was it a pressure which had been already started on? Because they could have gone beyond people who had applied. I believe some serving members of a particular service, serving members, I don't wish to mention a particular service, but serving members of a very important service had also applied for. Now that is not done. Particularly of a particular service which was going to be heading this Lokpal. So I would say I'm really very, very keen to know the specific reasons why Mr. Nariman has decided to step out. Because this is very good. I'm glad this is being considered as a very important institution of this country, which will do good to the country to fight against particularly big ticket corruption as well as down the line.
Ms. Baby, the top jurist has refused to join the search panel. One of the the primary grounds that he does hold is that he claims that this entire process has not been democratic enough, because of which competent and the most independent and most courageous, quote unquote, of people will get overlooked.
Yes, which process? Because they've not started the process. They have only a selection committee, and I believe they had about people who had applied for the post. So what process is Mr. Nariman talking about? If which needs a correction, I think we people need to know which process, because they have already framed the rules, and the rules I do not know whether they'd gone for a public discussion. And I understand that there are a lot of flaws and a lot of situations in the rules which is very bureaucracy oriented. Like, for instance, what came out in the newspapers was that they limited the selection of the Lokpals to certain rank of people. That bars many other experts out. So I would, people have a right to know what are the processes. Would be very grateful that Mr. Nariman would specify.
Also, my last question before I let you go, would this be a spoke in the wheel for the entire Lokpal process, according to you?
I would like, in fact, if you ask me, the Lokpal to be appointed by the new government rather than the existing government. Why would they rushing it through? Because I think it should be the prerogative of the new government in position to start an independent process rather than the current government. I think a little delay would have helped, but I think it's probably being politically correct to rush the process. But all right, even if the politically is correct for them, they have a right to do that. At least the process should be very transparent. As I told you, the rules are not very complimentary. There are a lot of questions even within our services on the rules. And secondly, it will be doing us a lot of good if Mr. Nariman spells out which processes is he looking at, which he's finding unpalatable.